Times when Dr. Phil got annoyed. As cool as a cucumber and as sassy as a snake would be the perfect way to describe Dr. Phil. But I must say, he does get a lot of fair feedback from his rather less than sane guests. So, why don't we take a look at moments that seem to set Phil off? But first, let's delve into some interesting facts about the show. First off, let's see what the show is all about. Leave a like right now. Also, subscribe and turn on notifications. If you have left a like on the video and subscribed to the channel, also leave a comment saying, "I subscribed," and I'll reply to as many of you as I can, saying thank you. Dr. Phil Show. The Dr. Phil Show, an American tabloid show, features Dr. Phil as the host. The show has been nominated for the Daytime Emmy Awards each year since 2004. The show airs in several countries besides the United States. In 2011, the 10th season of the show premiered, and prime times have occasionally aired on CBS ever since. Dr. Phil is a clinical and forensic psychologist and uses his life experiences to offer advice in the form of life strategies. Dr. Phil, where it all started. Phil McGraw started his own show, Dr. Phil, created by Oprah Winfrey. The show debuted on September 16, 2002, after successive and successful appearances by Phil McGraw on The Oprah Winfrey Show. On both these shows, however, McGraw offers the same kind of advice on life strategies, all from his own life experiences, and the show has aired ever since. However, in September of 2009, the show got a revamp to give it a modern look and also to broadcast it in HD. The show was also written and performed by McGraw's son, Jordan McGraw, produced by Patesky Productions and distributed by CBS Television Distribution. Harpo Productions is also known to co-produce the show until 2010. During this tenure, CBS Paramount Domestic Television acted as secondary co-producers until 2007. It was originally distributed by King World Productions. The program is first recorded on a videotape before a live audience at Studio 29 on Paramount Pictures in Hollywood, California, before it is telecast. Tapes from May to August will be released in December for the winter, for the holiday season. What it covers. Covering a wide range of topics of concern such as weight loss, financial planning, errant children, gift suggestions, children diagnosed with autism, and a wide range of other related topics. The show had well-known personalities on it, such as radio personality and ex-child star Danny Bonaduce, who appeared twice in a year to discuss why his marriage was failing and why he got divorced, not to mention his second wife, Gretchen. Also, several episodes cover children taking polygraph exams, most particularly the ones done by FBI agent Jack Trimarco. Generally serious-toned, the show also has light humour from time to time. It also has those trashy scenes quite often, without the aggressive fights, however. The show is filmed in a studio where the guests appear. In 2006, however, the show, Dr. Phil House, began airing as an occasional series, wherein the guests are invited to Phil's house, which is wired with cameras and microphones. His staff monitor the guests and the show's activities and intervene when required in order to prevent fights and physical violence. He also provides advice on the spot to guests. Robin sits with the audience until the end of the show and walks off with him in the end. Notable guests and episodes. In an episode that aired in May 2005, twin sisters Jocelyn and Crystal Potter appeared, in which they discussed Crystal's wanting to work in the adult industry, along with her sister Jocelyn. When Danielle Hoff of Brothel was interviewed, he said that the two could be making $500,000 per year on his show, and so, beginning in 2002, they appeared as the Potter sisters in various porn movies. In 2003, they even appeared together with Hoff in the porn film Going Down at the Bunny Ranch. As for the show Dr. Phil House, it was set in an actual house within the Wilshire Park neighborhood in Los Angeles. However, it received a lot of complaints from neighbors due to the noise made by the filming crew. So, in 2006, Dr. Phil's show stopped filming there as the Los Angeles City Council revoked permits. However, Petesky Productions, the production house of the Dr. Phil House TV show, still owned the house. In 2006, the show became a part of a confidence scam which involved a psychic who fraudulently represented Dr. Phil. The scam was run by 3 women from Texas, namely Ann Teresa Stevens, also known as Nancy Stevens, Serena Stevens, also known as Betty Ann Lee, and Cher Evans. They set up a phone line claiming to be run by one of the directors of Dr. Phil. They scammed many people out of thousands of dollars by telling them that they could have a conversation with Phil for $750. In December of 2006, McGraw called off an interview with Bumfight video series producer Ty Beeson due to the fact that he had the same style as Dr. Phil. Beeson was escorted off the set by the security guards. One other incident occurred in September of 2014 when Phil interviewed Amy Carter and her ex-husband Chad. During the interview, Amy is known to have claimed that Chad was an absentee father, and they discussed their 7-year-old mentally disordered, tempered son Jaden, who's known for the 2010 video Tantrum in the Parking Lot. Dr. Phil in recent times. The Dr. Phil show in recent times features news and other related information from Phil's perspective. It often involves an interview with a subject, usually on a crime-related topic, and includes a suspect involved in a true crime case. Besides this, it also includes parents in a child custody battle or a celebrity subject, often featuring the music of rather a high urgency. It also features Phil, who originates the segment from the master control room of KCBS-TV. It has various monitors tuned into a number of stations and local news networks to give a more news kind of feel to the show. However, the show has also been under criticism from some psychotherapists, not to mention laymen, of the advice given by him on the show. They have said that such advice is rather simplistic and ineffective at the worst. In one of these episodes, Phil's conduct was called unethical and incredibly irresponsible by the National Alliance on Mental Illness. In an interview with a South Florida newspaper in 2001, Phil said that he never seemed to like those one-on-one counseling sessions. Instances when Phil got annoyed. There were some times when Phil McGraw seemed to get really annoyed with his guests, but were these enough to set him off? Why don't we find out? The Sexy Vegan instance. Dr. Phil's anger on Sexy Vegan was merely a sort of allowing some airtime for him. However, it was pretty mean of him to summon the security. Sexy Vegan, who is literally called that because his name has been officially changed, appeared on the show in 2017. He seemed to be a pretty intense guy, but after he spoke of his mother in abusive language, which must have set Dr. Phil off, Dr. Phil called the security to take him out. He later calmed down and called him childish and immature. Boomer the dog. While some may actually claim that Phil is indeed savage, it would be pretty upsetting if his harsh words were directed at an animal, and especially one that doesn't deserve it at that. A really bad puppy. However, Boomer the dog in this instance is actually a guy called Gary, who lives, or rather likes to live, a part of his life as a dog. But Phil seemed to make it pretty clear, giving Gary a dose of the cold reality. Phil pointed out that Gary was a 40-year-old jobless virgin who walked around in a paper dog costume, something he terms as not a highly productive course in life. However, this seems to be one of his meanest lines ever. Dr. Phil may be savage, but he does get some pretty straightforward feedback at times. The Lazy Chap. When a kid talks about the reason for his dropping out of college, Dr. Phil retorts with some nasty words that have been censored out. His only reason was for the kid to get a job. He then reprimands the kid for trying to talk back at him. Don't be insulting to the Dr. Phil show's staff members. In 2013, a guy named Andrew, who had come on the show, seems to have got into a fight with Phil about how the show handled his trip, In fact, the guy became so much annoyed that he made some racially offensive comments to some team members of the show. It seems that the Dr. Phil only had a few questions, but the guy snapped back at him, but only seems to have told the kid not to be interruptive and nothing more. Here's what is going on down at the custody battle. A woman is deliberately trying to out-talk Phil by making excuses for the rude behavior. Phil must have said something very upsetting for the woman to just get up and leave like that, and he seems to have handled it with an optimum level of sass. When Phil told a woman to shut up, at some points, Dr. Phil seems to be able to take only so much until he has had enough. In one such clip, he literally tells a woman to shut up. Hopeful YouTuber. A teenager who dropped out of high school to supposedly become a YouTube star and absolutely hates her parents only for the reason that they don't think it's viable, when she goes on the Dr. Phil show, she calls her mother a psychopath, and Phil asks her to define the word. As she rambles on, Phil interrupts her by saying that what she said is actually not what a psychopath means. In a steely glaze, he then delivers his savagery. Lying rapper. In the November of 2017, Dr. Phil had a guest on his show who was utterly convinced that he was a rapper and that he was working with huge record labels on his music. Phil seemed to catch him red-handed, which made the young chap feel weird and erratic. I mean, how else would you treat someone acting like a child? You treat them as a child. Right. As the kid gets up, Phil seems to have laid down the law for him. This was one of the times Phil got angry. Bickering women. In one of the episodes from a few years back, he tries to settle down two women who seem to be arguing. When the bickering continues, even with his intervention, he says that they don't need him for that, and they could do it just as well in a parking lot. Spitting at Amber Rose. This is one of the best ever, where he seems to have spat at Amber Rose. Dr. Phil's ferociousness seems to know no bounds, and he doesn't seem to be saving up his savagery just for the show. He takes it outside the building too, as it happened here when he spat on Amber Rose's face. Sure, people will say that it's a Baywatch skit and it's acting and all that, but the water on her face is real. Apparently it seems that Amber and Phil are friends in real life, which makes sense. Savages stick together. So, these were some instances when Phil got annoyed. Sure, there may have been others, but these seem to be the most popular ones. Nevertheless, Phil is still a guy who is as cool as a cucumber and as sassy as a snake, though he has received a tremendous amount of criticism when it comes to him giving advice on psychological aspects. The reruns have also begun broadcasting on the Oprah Winfrey Network ever since 2011.